Hey guys, I am back with another heads up. Not super turbo, but just turbo. Another one against Tim Garbagio. I'm almost definitely going to be posting the one I just played. So hopefully this all makes sense what I'm about to talk about. I'm going to talk about the last hand of the last tournament I played with him. At this point, I'm just going to kind of hope I hit an overcard. I don't think another bet's going to give me odds to take it down. And I get a free card to try to spike something on him. And if he's drawing, maybe I can get all the way down with the best hand. Which he just called me with ace high, so I just had the best hand the whole way. Which is not quite what I expected, but good reason to play ace 10, I guess. Heads up. So that last hand, really, he had king jack. He hit his king on the turn, and really the only really bad play I think he made was willing to just commit himself like he did. If he's gonna, so basically what happened is, I just had a pair of fours with king 4, and I continuation bet. If you watch the end of my last video, if you don't know what I'm talking about, there should be an annotation at the beginning of this video for it. But so I hit bottom pair with king 4, and he checked it to me. I just made a continuation bet, and he called. And then a king came, which means we both had a pair of kings. I just had two pair of kings and fours, and he had king jack. So he thought he had a really good hand because he hit an overpair to the flop, and it's hard for me to beat that. If I had something on the flop like I represented with my continuation bet, then he's probably got me beat. The problem is he was just willing to commit all his chips with that. I mean, I could have just had king queen. Well, I guess that would have been top 2. I guess ace king, and been continuation betting and just hit a better turn on the card or on the turn, or I could have had a better hand on the flop than a king. And he just was willing to commit himself with a pretty mediocre hand when, at that point, you're not trying to get all the chips in. In my opinion, you're more trying to... I'm going to make a 4 bet here. And if he goes all in... Actually, I'm in position, so I'm just going to call. Because I don't want him to go all in against me. But to finish my last thought, you shouldn't try to commit yourself you shouldn't try to get all your chips in that spot. And what he kind of did, he check raised me on the turn and was willing to call a shove after that. And he could have just called again and tried to call me down, try to catch a bluff, or he could have fired out on the turn and made me kind of confused. And if I raise there, then it shows a lot of strength. So I thought that was a poor way to play it. Not horrible, but always beating is a bluff, and that would have been a pretty weird spot for me to just bluff away all my chips. I mean, maybe that's what because he's not beating anything I'm playing for value right there by trying to get all his chips in. I'm not playing king 10 and just shoving it right there. So anyways, more on to what I'm doing now. I always get confused on how I should approach what I'm doing and talk more about what I'm doing at the moment, or talk about stuff that's already happened, and I go through flip-flop through topics too often because of that, which I apologize if that gets confusing. I confuse myself half the time. So far the flow of this one has been nothing too interesting. That hand I had with ace jack was nice. I was surprised it was so easy to just pick that up after the flop after he 3-bet. So 3-betting me again. So a7, I don't think there's a reason to mess around with it here. I don't think it plays well in that kind of pot. Being in position is nice. I just don't think it plays very well in that spot. It was the first. I 3-bet him quite a bit the last time, so he knows I'm willing to 3-bet him pretty light probably. I set a really big 5-bet all in against him. So that's a really good flop. I'm gonna continuation bet because you know, I could easily continuation bet without hitting anything. So he's not going to just assume I have something really strong. And if he has a king, he's going to think he has the best hand. It's kind of too bad he just folded, but you know, if he has a king there, he's probably getting it all in, and I wouldn't even blame him that much in that spot. Maybe a little bit because we're still pretty deep. I'm sure you could, if you have a king, you're probably trying to get to showdown as cheap as possible right there. Not as cheap as possible, that's the wrong way to say it, but you're not excited to put in a ton of chips with just a king there. I'm going to 3-bet him again just because, you know, I don't want him to think he can just raise me off all the time. I want to protect my blind, make him think twice about raising. You know, the difference between raising 46 and 50 there really isn't anything. Sometimes I look at the number and go, you know, that just doesn't look like it's going to ever make him fold, so I got to do a little bit more. I mean, and it is the difference between doing, you know, 2/3 or 3/4, but I don't think anybody's going to change their mind on whether they call or fold based on 4 chips. So there's no real, basically what I'm saying is there's no real difference in what I'm doing. It's just, it's aesthetically different, I guess. Later on, there probably is a little bit of a difference about how you're choosing to go about it. Here, you know, I can almost re-raise because I got, actually, this hand is almost strong enough to just call. Problem is I'm going to miss so often, and what do I do when I miss? So that's why I'm going to 3-bet, because I'm going to miss a lot and be out of position. But it's kind of weird because you almost want to 3-bet. I haven't really been calling, so I'm just going to call this time. And I'm on the button, so it's nice to play as many pots on the button as you can. Fold there. And mixing it up is always a good thing. What I was saying just a second ago. With 3-betting, there's kind of a weird dynamic a lot of times that you want to do. This probably isn't always true, but where you want to 3-bet with, like, if you have 3 tiers of hands, like your top tier is aces, kings, queens, ace, king, you know, ace, queen, and then your second tier is the hands just below that, you know, pocket 9s, pocket 10s. And I'm just doing this to give you an example of what I'm talking about, but these are the specific hands I mean. I have the exact same hand, I'll 3-bet them again. So there's a first tier of hands, there's a second tier and a third tier of hands. There becomes, you know, the third tier could be like 10-9 suited, stuff like that. With the third tier, it can often be what you want to 3-bet with those hands, and with the first tier you want to 3-bet with those hands, but then that middle tier, it might be better than those third tier hands, but those ones you just want to call with because you want to, you're okay playing a pot, but you don't want to have to deal with, you know, a 4-bet or an all-in or something, so you kind of more want to play those hands. So it's kind of this weird dynamic where you 3-bet with your best hands and your third best hands in terms of tiers, and you just call with your second best range of hands, which is kind of weird to think about, but you know, it's kind of true in a weird sense. Now unfortunately, explaining that to you, I have not really been thinking about this hand all that much. I'm thinking there's a very good chance he has a jack. And so I'm giving him a chance to basically bluff and represent the jack, which I don't like, but that bet also looks like a jack to me. Trying to get a lot of value out of it. I feel like he checked the turn because he's afraid of the queen with the jack. That bet, with an 8, that bet makes no sense. With a queen, that bet doesn't even make a lot of sense. You know, missed draws maybe. I don't know if he'd bet that much with a missed draw, though. It looks quite a bit like a jack to me. And it looked like a jack before I made that check. Or at least It was the hand I was worried about the most, I guess. I'm just gonna call. This is I'm getting a little clouded in my mind right now about how to go about situations. I haven't been playing a lot recently, so how comfortable I feel about what plays I'm making definitely changes based on how much I've been playing. If I'm playing a lot, I usually feel a lot more comfortable with the decisions I'm making. I'm gonna bet this out. I feel really strong about my hand, but I want him to just kind of calm me down with a hand that's a little bit worse than mine, like a queen, which I think is very likely for him to have. Even a worse ace. I don't want to check and then have him bet and then have to call him down the whole way and make him be the aggressor. And I also don't want to, have to check raise him and show a lot of strength and have him fold a hand that's a little worse than mine. So I think this is the best way to play it. Now, I wasn't exactly expecting a raise. I think I'm going to call and bet out based on what comes. Because I feel like it's going to show a lot of strength, and if he raises me again, it's going to kind of show me, okay, he has the hand that beats me. But if he just calls, I think I can get down to showdown a little bit cheaper than if I had raised him or something like that. Or I know how to... A raise here is kind of a weird... You have to feel really comfortable about your hand to raise here. I feel like a bluff here is really hard because my play looks so strange. So I think bluffing here is kind of uncomfortable. And checking, I think, also here, I think I can get down to a free showdown on the river because a bluff, I guess what I'm saying is, if he's not going to bet it. Well, maybe I messed this up. Because now, especially after going all in, the question is, what hands is he going all in with here that I beat? Now, I gotta keep in mind before I actually think I'm gonna call him, because before he played that King Jack so strong, hands I'm really worried about are, I guess I don't beat that many aces with the ace-6 and the ace-4 now beating me, and the ace-deuce beating me. I don't beat many aces, and I don't think he'd play a queen like this, and there's not really any draws for him to bluff on the river. So I think I kind of misplayed this. Yeah, I don't think I played that hand very well, which is dumb. I mean, tell me in the comments what I should have done, how I messed that up. I'm pretty sure I messed that up somewhere along the line. I'm not exactly sure where, though. But you know what? He's not going to be just shoving there with, unless it's a bluff. But then, how is he bluffing there when he's raising me on the flop and then calling me on the turn? So I don't see how he's bluffing there. Which is kind of, I guess that was kind of my plan, was to kind of know that he's not bluffing, or to know, yeah, to know to get out of the way if I need to. So I played it smart in that way. I definitely got to call this. Now he's just kind of, I don't know why he's shoving with that. Maybe he thinks I'm just pretty weak. But he hasn't been playing, he hasn't been doing stuff like that all that much. I mean, he's been doing a lot of these small raises, which I've been folding to, I admit, which isn't great, and I need to do that a little bit less as the blinds raise. All in, and maybe he just thought he could kind of, he was just trying to stomp on me a little bit and thought he could get me to fold there. So nice to know he's willing to just shove with a nice hand. That other hand, though, with the ace-8 that I had, I'm going to raise here because I think a shove is hard for him to do. I think I'm going to get higher percentage of folds there than typical. And here I think I can get him to go a little crazy, hopefully, with a really small bet. It's hard to just fold to that bet. I didn't really want a spade, but you know, I'm not concerned with him having the flush right now. I'm more concerning of another spade coming and him hitting it. That was decent. I'll take it. If he raises me, I think I'm shoving on him because he's shown, I mean, I think I got to at this point, he's shown the capability to shove pretty dang light, so it's kind of hard to give him a ton of respect. Here, I think I might be able to get him to go a little crazy too. Maybe I was just more hoping than thinking. See, this is what I wanted you to do. The queens. Although I guess I 3-bet with the queens. Just gonna call. You can't. Well, you can 3-bet every time. I don't think it's quite the right way to go about it, though. It's a flop I could have easily hit something pretty good. So I'm gonna make a pretty strong bet out. Make him do something about it. I mean, probably could call with 2 overs, but if he has like King 9 or King 8 or Jack 7 or something, it's hard for him to play back at me. All those hands I think are in his range. So. I definitely have a very strong hand here. I just have to play like I have the nuts, basically. So I'm going to do a small bet. Try to make him think he can push me out of the pot. Although he doesn't seem to like to do that post-flop very much, so... I want to check this, but... and get him to bet out on the river, but I really can't. It'd be a really bad play, give him a free card. I'm going to make it a little bit stronger, but... I'm going to bet like 325. Make a pretty strong, solid bet here. Make him kind of define his hand, and kind of make him commit to the pot if he has something, like if he hit the 8 or has a 3. Not the best card, especially with the flush coming. See, I don't want to. This is kind of a weird spot because going all in, I don't think I can get him to call, so I think I just got to make a small bet, try to get him to keep going with. Problem is I leave myself open to him trying to bluff me out, but I think I'm just going to call if he goes all in. So maybe this bet isn't quite worth it in terms of value if I'm willing to call all my chips away. I don't think he'd be trying to check raise me here, though. So yeah, see, I mean, getting little value like that is really nice. That might have not been the exact best spot to try to do it in because, oh wow, he just had 2 overs. Wow, I really kind of made him think he was not on with where I was. He tried to make a hero call on me. So yeah, I basically was thinking, you know, if he did, see, if he hit the 10, he's not going to try to check raise me all in, that's for sure. If he hit the flush, he could, which is why the 250 bet, it's like I'm betting 250 to try to get paid off by a medium strength hand, and if he had the 5, he's still playing the 5 the whole time, he would do, but I don't think he would still play the 5 that strong. I mean, he checked every street to me, so the 5 didn't really make much sense. the hand that really was the flush, and that's pretty unlikely. So I think that $250 bet was right. I got paid off by, especially if he's going to pay me off the king-queen. I wasn't expecting that. I thought him to be a little bit stronger than that, having a 3 or an 8 or something. Now he's just kind of pushing me over a little bit. The blinds have gotten bigger. I need to adjust to that, which I haven't done mentally yet. Bad hand, though. Another bad hand. So now he's basically picked up a bunch of chips that he just lost, which is really frustrating. So I'm going to call because I think I might be able to get him to shove with a much worse hand than mine. No, I probably shouldn't have done that. So yeah, I probably should have just raised him. You know, taking down the blinds would have been fine. This isn't really a hand to trap with, heads up. I mean, you know, I just give him the free chance to check, and that totally hits his range of checking, especially if he's shoving fairly light, you know. I can't really do anything there. So that call with the king-queen was pretty bad. And he's probably shoving really light at this time, so I need to be aware of that. So that's why I'm calling here. And I have the best hand, but I'm probably not going to win. So all this came down to basically me having a small edge in a all-in. I still have some chips, I guess. And that's what these come down to. You have to win those kind of hands. You just do. How many chips do I have? 58. Okay. My poker tracker thing, which I don't think you guys can see, got in my way. That's why I hesitated. So it's kind of frustrating to lose this. I got kind of card dead there. I also didn't realize the blinds were where they were. So that was kind of a mistake by me. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something from it. And I'll see you guys next time.